John Boehner and the Republicans' outreach to Wall Street. Now, that seems to be a curious time to reach out to Wall Street, but for the Republicans, it's not. It's very logical. This is the time to cash in. And John Boehner has gotten himself in a little bit of trouble here by being very explicit about that. In the article, in fact, let me quote the article for you. Mr. Boehner told Mr. Diamond, the head of J.P. Morgan, congressional Republicans had stood up to Mr. Obama's efforts to curb pay and impose new regulations. Boehner is saying, look, we were on your side. We tried to make sure you got all your pay on Wall Street and that you had no new regulations to deal with. And then he continues, the Republican leader also said he was disappointed many on Wall Street continued to donate money to Democrats, according to people familiar with the matter. That's the Wall Street Journal on that issue. Now, Eric Canter is also quoted here. He's, of course, the second-ranking House Republican and the top Wall Street fundraiser for his party. And he said, quote, I sense a lot of dissatisfaction and a lot of buyer's remorse on Wall Street, referring to how Wall Street gave more money to Democrats in the last election cycle. And he's saying, see, now they're trying to hold you accountable. And you know you can always count on the Republican Party to never hold you accountable, to make sure we got your back. And look, Boehner and Cantor's requests are perfectly legitimate. If you're a Wall Street banker and you want to protect your pay and you want to be able to take as much risk as you like and you want to get bailed out by the taxpayer, well, the Republican Party is definitely your party. Remember, Bush is the one that did the bailout. The guy who was the architect of the whole bailout was Hank Paulson, the Treasury Secretary for Bush. And he's the former Goldman Sachs CEO that funneled all the money to Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and all those companies. So if you're a Wall Street banker, you got to love the Republicans. They're your boys. I'm surprised they donated it all to the Democrats, but they do. And to be fair, in 2008, Wall Street executives, more specifically, securities and investment industry executives, gave Obama $15 million, and they only gave McCain $8.7 million. I think a lot of them were in the same place we all were. Enough. The Republicans are destroying the economy, even if it means we're going to, get a little tighter regulation from the Democrats, et cetera. Well, better that that happens than these Republicans drive us off a cliff. Now, having said that, now the Democrats are in charge. Even their tiny little bit of regulation, which isn't very much at all, is apparently way too much for Wall Street. It's under their skin. So now, again, the Wall Street Journal reporting that through the third quarter, campaign finance reports show that some major Wall Street players have begun to increase their share of donations to the Republican Party, including Bank of America, which used to give a little bit more to the Democrats, is now giving a little bit more to the Republicans, and on and on it goes. And Senator Phil Gramm is also quoted. He's the main architect of that Republicans making sure to sell out to the bankers to collect their paychecks, and then going to work for the bankers once he retires, which is exactly what he did. And we've told you on the show before about how his wife got rich off of that. He got rich off of that. The companies he advocated for through the deregulation wound up actually losing billions of dollars. But it didn't really matter to the Grahams because they collected their paychecks and went home. In fact, Phil Gramm is still with the investment firm of UBS Securities, LLC, and he's still collecting paychecks for driving companies into the ground and deregulating, et cetera. So the Republican Party is back in advertising and saying, hey, Wall Street, we're on your side. Now, that's a great development if you're a Democrat, because that's terrible politics. But, of course, the Democratic Party never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So, Democrats are in the press today saying, not all of them, but some of them saying, no, we can serve Wall Street even better than the Republicans. What are you doing? Well, that's the problem. They're right. They're both competing over who can pleasure Wall Street more. So here's Henry Waxman, who I like in other instances, but he said, one, he makes a case, and Huffington posted these interviews during the bailout debate, that he called Diamond personally, and that Diamond, the head of J.P. Morgan, quote, impressed upon me how much he needed. So Waxman is basically saying, well, I could one-up Boehner. I called Diamond and asked him, I got a blank check. How much you want me to put on it during the bailout? That's disastrous. Why did you admit that? Well, I'm glad you admitted it, because if that's what you're doing, that's terrible. And he said, we also did the stimulus that wound up helping Wall Street. Frank Lautenberg, a Democrat of New Jersey, says that when asked if is it politically perilous to be seen on the side of Wall Street, he says, I don't think so. I think that unless there's some really egregious behavior, I think that they should support us, and I think we should be willing to accept their help. In other words, we're open for business. Give us the money. Don't give it to the Republicans. And who cares if we look like we're serving your interests? We all serve your interests. I mean, this is brazen. This is the politicians on both sides saying, we don't give a damn what you think, the American people. Look, you got to understand the way we win elections is by collecting campaign money from rich donors. And Wall Street's got a lot of rich donors. We're open for business, and we're having an auction here to see who's going to be the highest bidder. And if they give us more money, we'll sell it to them. If they give them more money, we'll sell it. The reality is, both sides are going to get money. Bank of America used to give 56% to Democrats. Now they're giving 54% to the Republicans, or vice versa, right? They're giving to both sides, and that's why both sides are giving them whatever the hell they want. Guess who's not getting anything out of this deal? Yeah, you guessed it, me and you, American taxpayer. They're not open to business for us. It goes on and on. Representative Mel Watt, Democrat of North Carolina, chairman of the Financial Services Subcommittee, might be rather relevant, told Huffington Post there's, quote, no Republican or Democrat slant to Wall Street issues. You're 100% right, Mel. You're both giving into them. You know, you see this stuff, and it gives you almost no hope. Now, I'll be a little fair by quoting Barney Frank, who's, you know, been fighting for financial reform. In some of those regulations, in my opinion, are far too weak, but at least he's doing something, and at least he's smart enough to realize that Boehner made a huge mistake, and the Democrats should be happy about that, and not going to the press and telling them, oh, yeah, we'll do even better. He said about Boehner's comments, can I help him say that? Can I buy him some national TV time to say that? I'm surprised that John thinks that's a good message, but he's free to make it. Frankly, I'm glad that he's being that honest. Yeah, you're right. Well, but you should check your fellow congressmen and senators. Here's a trick that the Democrats do in the Banking Committee. Obviously, most important committee in this regard in the House. They stack it with a lot of the Democrats who are in close races. Now, what's the implication of that? Well, those people in close races are in districts that are more conservative, supposedly, right? And in a lot of cases, yes, they are more conservative. Their districts are. And since they're in tight races, they're going to need more money. So they put them on the Banking Committee. They put 15 of them in. So the Banking Committee no longer is progressive. Even though it's controlled by Democrats, it's now conservative. Because those 15 wind up voting with the banks. Why? One, they can go back home and go, oh, see, I'm conservative. I voted with the banks, which is so crazy. But nobody challenges them on that. But number two, they go back to the banks and go, hey, look, this is the most important committee, and I sold that to you big time. Where's my paycheck? So that way, guess what? No strong financial reform coming out of the Banking Committee because the Republicans and the conservative Democrats working hand in hand, and Democratic leadership putting those Democrats in that committee to be able to do just that. And in the end, of course, they continue to have no regulation. They're going to run amok again, and it's going to blow up on us.